We want to have a little chat now, Cass, about Harry Kane. Obviously, it seems like he's going to be the summer. Every summer there's a saga. There's got to be someone's saga. This summer, it's looking like it's going to be Harry Kane. Will he go? Won't he go? City a few months ago apparently had a bid put in, was rejected by all reports, whatever. Now there's more reports saying that they're going to go back in for him with a big bid earlier this week of up to £160 million. So he may well not be there at the start of the season. But I wonder if we know obviously the downsides of losing the quality of the play of Harry Kane. But are there any positive sides to losing? And that's like a really weird question. But what are the upsides for Spurs and Spurs fans if Harry Kane was to lose? To leave? Even?
It's very difficult, Jordan, to make an argument where there's an upside to Harry Kane, who has been nothing short of sensational for Spurs. Okay, so it's very difficult to find a reason. What you can do is think, well, if you do lose him, how do you reignite that squad? Individuals can overachieve. I think there's been one of the biggest problems I've had for Harry at Spurs, that too many players don't play to the level that is expected and have had a bit of a shortfall. They've not lifted or been driven by what he can do, what Heung-min Son can do. I think sometimes in sport you can, and this is Nuno's job, he's got to sort of galvanise what's there and add players with great mentalities that are going to come and do a great job for Spurs. Whether Harry's there or not, I think that's one of his major challenges, is that he must galvanise his squad, because they've fallen too many positions and too many players have fallen way short of what they're capable of. Certainly defensively, and players in midfield. I think, I look at Dembele, I feel what a player he could be. Saw a lot of him in France. Didn't really showed at moments of it. I think Harry Winks has to improve on where he was. He was well short for me. And a number of others. They're just a few examples. No, they're not bad players. They're good players, but they fall short for me. And I think Nuno has to have a different dynamic about... And I see this sometimes, is when you lose a player, like Roy Keane was sort of... He had an issue in 2002 and he left the Ireland squad during a World Cup. And I know that the players at that particular time wanted to prove they're not a one-man team. That, to me, is what Tottenham have to prove. The players who are there and the players they bring in, prove you're not a one-man team. You're much more than that. And I think that's the challenge for Nuno and the players at the football club. And also the upstairs, the people, like Daniel Levy, who are responsible for making some of these deals happen that they'll have to do. So there are enormous challenges. In some bizarre way, could that work as a positive? It's very hard to make that argument. But I do feel that there is an element of, don't rely on this guy anymore, because you've relied on him way too much. And by the way, you haven't done enough for him as well. And that's why he's leaving the football club.
So I guess to your point, I guess my question to that then would be, let's just assume Harry Kane was to leave, and there are obviously positives in that you'll have 150 million potentially to spend on 2 or 3 new players. But what your point is that regardless, there's players there that have to give 20% more anyway, whether he stays or not. Do you think the likes of...
They've been too reliant on the two boys up front. Heung-min Son and Kane, the Spurs were too reliant on them. I know great players win you things. They do. But you also have great teams behind them. When Man United were at their best and Liverpool's, they had great players that could change in a moment the outcome of a game. But they're also players that could make that situation happen for them to do that.
Okay, so that's a good comparison, actually. So I guess what I'm asking is, do you believe the likes of Aurier, Lloris, Ndombele, Winks, Moura... Do these guys have an extra 10, 20% in them to go to make up for the shortfall that Harry Kane leaving may leave? Or do you think that those guys just aren't good enough, and whether Harry Kane's there or not, they don't have it in them to fill that void that Kane may leave?
I'd question a few of them, but I do think it's what you do as well in recruitment and the type of mentality of the players you need to come into the club that will change the dynamics of a football team. I think they're well short on that at the moment. But stop kidding yourself about, we all have to do this, because Heung-min Son and Kane have been extraordinary for Spurs and their goal return. Very few managers go into a season with 2 players who guarantee you 40-plus goals. That's what they do at Spurs. Not every club can guarantee that. You know, when Liverpool at their best, their front three could guarantee nearly 60. Moment they dropped short, yes, Liverpool had their injuries, but look where they ended up and look at the games they lost. So, to me, everybody else has to chip in. They have to be on the same, not the same level, because there are differences in player quality. But they've got to be giving 7 out of 10
it's
got to be
game.
more. They've got to be doing better. I always give Leeds as an example. I gave Sheffield United the year before. I've given Burnley this. Is they will get more. It feels like as a squad, they seem to give that bit more. It's not about, come on, lads, let's win. It's about a bit more quality, a different mindset.
Do you think then, just you mentioned there that, you know, Kane does offer, on a bad season, he's giving you 20 goals.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that if we agree that he's a 20-goal season, a striker, injuries and whatever,
that's just
what
Premier League. He's closer to 30.
There you go. If we agree that that is the case, is 150 million, if that is the fee that he will go for, if he does go, worth trading that in for? Because you mentioned just a second ago, having a striker that guarantees you 20 goals a season, there's not many teams in Europe that have that. Would you rather have that one guy that offers you 20 goals a season or 150 million?
Well, the money's...
To spread amongst the whole team.
The money's sort of irrelevant, Jordan, because the bottom line is that if a player wants to leave the football club, it's very hard to persuade them and get them to perform to the levels that they've already achieved. Their heart's not there. You know, he's thinking elsewhere. He knows his time at Tottenham must come to an end. That's why, and we had Teddy Sheringham speak about it yesterday, you know, you knowing you're leaving the football club and looking back at your career and you get to 30, promise you, a player once said to me when I first started playing the game, click your fingers and your football career will be done. And it's like that. You can have a decade if you're lucky, and if you're really, really lucky, you get to 15 years. That's extraordinary length of time in football. Lots of players don't get close to 10 years. So your career can be gone before you even, before you've actually realised it's there. You know, it was really weird. I remember starting as a 19-year-old and thinking, I'm 32 now. And it felt like it was 13 years later, but it felt like it passed in a heartbeat. So I think Harry's decision-making is about winning things and moving on. It's not going to happen for him at Spurs. But I do think is there an element of, can we find a direction that makes this club improve? It's going to be a massive challenge, by the way.
I think your point is spot on. I think whether he stays or not, Nuno Espirito Santo's main job this season is going to be inspiring the rest of the team to give more, regardless of whether Kane stays or not. You guys have got to do more.
Imagine, and this seems really unlikely, imagine he wasn't there and they made Champions League football next year and Kane had left. No, Jean-Pierre Papin played for Marseille. He left to go to AC Milan. He was the top goal scorer. They won the Champions League soon after. He never won. Never won. Yeah. You know, that's extraordinary, and it's an example. But you think if they made the top four without Harry, that seems ridiculous to say that. But imagine if they did that, and we look back and went, in a bizarre way, it worked. It worked, but they'd done something pretty special.